Coming to you live from the Business RadioX studio, it's Franchise Marketing Radio, brought to you by IDS, an award-winning digital marketing agency that delivers integrated marketing solutions for franchisors, franchisees, and franchise development teams. Learn why over 75 brands depend on IDS's team of dedicated marketers and client service professionals to deliver a strong ROI on their marketing investment. Go to idsfranchisemarketing.com for a complimentary digital audit and consultation.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Franchise Marketing Radio. I'm your host, Rob Ganley, and I have some exciting guests with me today. And I say guests plural. I have a team, a married couple team that have embarked on a new adventure, a new franchise ownership in Michigan. They are franchise owners of Lightbridge Academy to come in Michigan. I have with me Jayesh and Vaishali Patel. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you.
It's great to have you. So tell me, I mean, like I said, I kind of got a little dramatic there with the intro, but I mean, it is a big life decision, right? To start a business. And I know that you have professional backgrounds, impressive backgrounds, but obviously a new chapter in your life. Tell me a little bit about how that came to be and your decision to move forward with Lightbridge.
Yeah, so we have some friends who started this Lightbridge franchise about 5 years ago. So we are a very close friend. I grew up with them and we went to college together. So then they moved out of here and went to New Jersey, and then they looked into it. And we've always had me and him both have always had this entrepreneurial kind of in our blood, right? We always talk about something we see, drive by, it's like, hey, what does this look like, right? Or how does this business work, right? So it was just in our blood. So he had started something and we talked about it a few times and how he's doing and whatnot. We visit him often. We have similar age kids. So from there, it kind of born an idea of doing this something on our own. My family owns a franchise on a food side already. So I've helped quite a bit in growing up, helping my dad doing some of that work. So I've had that also there in my mind of doing something on my own in the future as my career develops over time.
Yeah, well, tell me a little bit more about that. So first of all, I think that's pretty awesome. A couple of things you said. One is that, you have it in your blood, right? And I would say that I know what you mean. Yeah. Being that I do what I do, it is a fascination with business models, how they work and why they can be so innovative, right? And of course, you're serving people and helping the world at the same time. So it's always fun to look at. And one of the reasons I gravitated to franchising. And then you talked about how you grew up in it, because family owned a franchise. And what an amazing thing. I mean, franchising in the United States, especially, it covers a lot of ground. There's a lot of businesses, right? And it affects a lot of families, a lot of people. So it is a starting point for a lot of folks, even if they don't stay in franchising. So that's pretty interesting. So tell me, with that perspective, what was the things about Lightbridge, or I should say, even, the child education space? What was it about that was interesting about Lightbridge that kind of pushed you with your entrepreneurial mind? Like, what was it? What attracted you?
Yeah, so when our kids are younger, we looked at some of the daycares that we want to put our child in, and we realized that there's certain things that would be very, very helpful and useful as a tools to have. It wasn't available at that point in time in Michigan. Then we went and visited our friend, and then we asked him, hey, do you have this or that? So ease of checking in and out without having to have someone ring the doorbell, because when you're going in, you have kids with you, you have the backpack, or the bag and a few other things with you, right? And then you're in the morning, so you may be in a meeting or something. So there's always that juggling that you're doing. That when kids are there, ability to see them if you want to be able to sort of, just the way to access the kids, how they're doing, just to check on them, right? Without having to talk to someone, right? Yeah. So some of those elements and the learning tools, the technology and the structure approach that the Lightbridge is using, we were pretty impressed by. Then we sat on it for a little bit, and then we thought about it. And then initially, Lightbridge was not really, expanding that fast as well. They're a smaller franchise, but they're growing now. So then they finally came around and said, "Hey, we're going to have Michigan as an opportunity. Do you guys want to join?" I said, "Yes, sure." That's how we kind of started that last year, as they were expanding rapidly now. Part of their expansion plan.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's how it works too. A lot of times the brands in franchising, the brands that you may resonate with or know about, the opportunities come and go, right? There's only so many territories and places they can expand to that they, however their model is working. So it's great. So did you say that your friend kind of gave you the heads up on that, or how did that work again?
Yeah. My friends got so they're our mentor pretty much.
Yeah.
We a lot. They understand a lot of these things because they've been in business for 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, you have that anyway when anyone starts a brand, but to have a good friend, a childhood friend, like a real good friend like that, fantastic opportunity for you. So tell me a little bit about that. So when I think of a Lightbridge Academy, I think of a beautiful location, a building, they always look attractive. Tell me a little bit about that process of finding the location, obviously building everything out. There's a lot of just technology and different things to think about. And then I also was wondering, and I'm sure people think about this when they think of education and working with children and everything else. What are the regulatory things? What are the background things that if you weren't working with a franchise brand, you'd be like, I don't know where to start. Like, what are the things you're now learning about and working through that, I'm sure the franchise is holding your hand through it, but tell me about how that's been working and what you're learning in launching everything.
Yeah, so first of all, Lightbridge, Lightbridge Academy is a solution for working parents. Their focus is on high quality education and programs around the year from infant to pre-K, and they go above and beyond from the high level customer service to supporting the busy working parents.
Right.
The company, the foundation of the company is around a circle of care. And that philosophy creates the supportive culture for the family, the staff members and owners, and the children to thrive this particular area where they focus on. And that is supported by, obviously, like I said, their structure approach and know-how of what it takes to open one or what it takes to run one, with the processes, but also end-to-end solutions on what are the things you're going to need to get there, right? So those baby steps into each of those development phases, they've layered it up very well. I have time we join the meetings with our CEO, and she knows her stuff. She's been there. The best thing I like about it is she not just a CEO. She worked at this daycares. She knows what goes on the ground. It's not just someone who has a title, but she knows what happens at the lowest level. So she's moved up in that role over time. So she has the experience and know-how. So she acknowledges what it takes to do things. So, she appreciates that part. And that her team is driven with that same mindset. The people around her.
That's amazing. I would agree. I'm very impressed with the executive team. And but I find that a lot in franchising, which is so cool about franchising is, well, in many cases, the originator of the business model is an entrepreneur that was passionate and then said, I would like to, to scale my idea through ownership, through sharing ownership with others. And I think that's amazing. And but that also produces, a team of leaders that understand the business, down to the, what I mean? They built it up. They understand it. And sometimes continue to run. Many of them will run their own operations too. So that's amazing. So tell me a little bit about, all right, I'm a parent. Okay. I've got some experience. I've been through this. I was telling you earlier that mine are grown up almost kind of. But basically when I was going through this process, raising them, it was scary. I mean, I don't know if there's something more important to peace of mind every day. than who you're relying on to teach your children, support them, protect them, whatever it may be. And we're all busy, and most of us have busy lives, and we need that help. And we also need help with parenting, right? We need to partner with people that take it seriously and can make an impact on your kids' lives. So with all that being said, it's a pretty important thing that you're handling. Tell me a little bit first. Let's start with the team side of it. Like, so I know that you need to start with building your own team in your operation. So tell me what goes into that and where you are with that.
Yeah, so we're first starting. We're still looking for
yeah. So yeah, we're still looking for the place. We haven't found, where we are gonna put the Lightbridge at right now. So that's the first step. And then obviously, once that's established, then we will be looking for the staffing, and so I think the first step hasn't started. We are still in the process of looking.
Locations are being, we're discussing some of the lease options and whatnot. So we're looking at multiple cities that we're working right now. And then based on that, we'll define the staffing. And one of the most important is the director for the center, right? That's the most important role that we would be obviously putting in place much ahead of the opening, so that everything is ready to go in that process. Of course, both of us will be there and supporting that and making sure everything is smooth, and we're really ready for that opening.
Yeah. So but the circle of care you mentioned earlier is something that kind of translates into the team you build, right? It's sort of the same methodology. Like, it's like lead by example, right? Everybody's leading by example. And, you'll take that same approach when you hire. And because of that, you've got a team that's there to do what would make me happy, which is take care of my kids. And I'm not worried about it because you guys are really good at it. But that's what goes into that, though. It's not easy to build a good team and have the right people, but you've got that. And so it starts obviously with the location. And as you said earlier, it's these baby steps, right? So you guys are going through this process now, but you sort of have that vision of what's ahead, but you don't you address it when it's time, right? And you have, again, Lightbridge, the brand behind you to help you with that. So that's great to hear. So tell me a little bit about, so back to the parent side of it. So we know, you're going to have a great team, great environment. Tell me a little bit about what makes you unique. You were touching on it earlier. I think some of that real-time visibility and transparency that parents have, but tell me a little bit more about what is unique and what kind of attracted you to the operation, even for your own kids.
So I think for me, I think their curriculums stood out more too. They have their own curriculum called Seedlings. That's what they call. That's established about 25 years ago. And it takes the principle from different thinkers of education like Montessori, Piaget, and Gardner. The curriculum looks at the child as a whole. It's not just cognition and motor development, but also sensory, social, language, arts, creativity, music, and science, math. So it looks at all that aspect of the specialty. If a child is lacking in any of one area, the teacher individualize the curriculum with the goal to bringing them to an age-appropriate level. And then Lightbridge also includes extracurricular activities like Spanish, singing, and also learning like sign languages, so that's something very, it stood out to me because my younger one went to Montessori. So I love the concept of their teaching style, where kids were involved with everything, what they were doing outside, inside, and it just helped them, bring my son's development. Like I can see the effect of that age at early age, So I really like this curriculum that they're using at Lightbridge.
And on top of that, having that curriculum, but making it a parent and teacher's life easier by using the technology. So there's some journey apps and other apps that we're using with the smart boards in the classrooms and also iPads, so that you can tailoring that Vaishali talked about, it comes as ease of use instead of manually someone needs to go through it and say, hey, this person has this ability that we need to improve on. It takes longer. So we're using the technology to ease up that and provide that reporting to even parents. What are the pros and what are the cons as the evaluations go on? So making that easier using today's technology.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I'm thinking about when you talk about like strengths and weaknesses and how important is that? Like, if someone doesn't help you see it as you grow up, I mean, there's the obvious things that some of us lucky ones have, where it's just obvious they have a talent, right? But I mean, for most of us, getting our strengths and zeroing in on the right thing in life is hard unless someone says, you're really good at that. You don't always get that. Or you're better at reading or you're better at communicate. Obviously I can talk. That's why I'm on a podcast right now. Right. But everybody, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't really dive deep into my strengths and weaknesses until I got older in a professional context, but to have it early in life, boy, I feel like it would have saved me a lot of time, and maybe some money. So anyway, but all right, so let's talk a little bit. I know that you guys are on this journey of launching in Michigan. So maybe this question is it's down the road, but I'm sure something you're thinking about is, the marketing side of things, right? So once you do have your location sorted out and you've got your team in place, it's going to get kind of exciting, right? You're going to be thinking about something like a grand opening, right? A launch. So tell me a little bit about how that is looking, at least what you're learning so far, and then what you see as being like that first year journey of letting everybody know what you're doing and how's that going to look from a marketing standpoint.
Yeah, so marketing side, we're keeping our eyes open on different things, right? And then I have a little bit of background from my dad's restaurant. I used to do the marketing for him. So I have some strength there, some things that I know what to do there. Obviously, completely different business model, but some similarity. So building the community relationship and advertising to the local community is the main focus for us. And then, of course, not just us as an owner, but also the franchise who will have a full support from the executive team, which is part of the reason executive team is really, promoting some of these activities to us and bringing different aspect early on, like we're doing here now. But community and also the reach of the online through different landing pages, social medias. So those are some of the things that we have in mind. And sponsorship in the community is a key for us to make that awareness, educate people.
Yeah. Now, I think that, that's obviously me being a marketer. I have I'll give you a nice long answer for lots of business types, but it all comes down to relationships with the community, right? People, all workplaces, they all run businesses or work at a business, their parents. It's really just getting out there in the community and letting them know you're part of it. And I think there's lots of ways to do that. And then if it's everybody like I will tell you, franchisees, I talk to a lot of different ones of the companies I work with. And a lot of times they'll joke and they'll be like, I've been doing this for years and people still don't remember I'm doing this, right? Like it takes some effort to just don't neglect that base right in front of you, like your Facebook friends and your LinkedIn connections and all those things that you have. But I know that they'll get into all that with you, but that's what it's about with franchising. That's what I love about it in many cases is businesses helping businesses, people helping people, and really taking care of folks locally. So that's what's cool. So tell me a little bit about, and you've been sharing a lot over this conversation, but just in terms of if you had some advice, right, for someone like your friend gave you advice, right, your buddy, but if there was someone else you were going to give advice and they weren't sure what they wanted to do, they thought they were like you, that it was in their blood, right? What kind of advice would you give them about starting a franchise or the journey of looking for a franchise?
Yeah, so one of the obviously key things, most important thing in these franchise adventures is being patient. There's a lot that go on to get there, right? But going through those steps and understanding that the long-term plan, you can't look at the short-term plan and say, "Oh, I'm not meeting my goal." It's the long-term plan that you have to lay out in order for to get there. You have to follow those steps and stay committed to do that. So some others are asking me as well, but it's the same thing, right? Well, how are you doing this? Or why does it take so long? Well, those are some of the things that you have to consider part of the long-term plan. It doesn't happen overnight, right?
Yeah.
It's the key. So being patient is the key there.
I know.
Now, I can tell you, Jay, you sound like a very grounded professional. That's what you got to be. And probably the hardest thing about business ownership that I've experienced for myself is really, dealing with that pressure of being a business owner, right? You have more responsibility. It's exciting. You have the ability to do things on your own and make decisions, but you'll have families, you'll have employees, and it's just being patient, right? It's not overreacting. It's reacting, but not overreacting, right? And I think one of the great things about franchising, and tell me what you think too, both of you, that, having people around you, like your friend in New Jersey, like the rest of the Lightbridge operators, kind of doing it, right? So you kind of see it. It's almost like you got a lamp at your feet looking a little bit ahead, versus doing it on your own. But has that been, have you sensed that you're not alone in this?
Yeah, exactly. So the community is great. I've reached out to some of the others who are also the same process as me. So we talk about things. They're in Texas, but like, hey, what's going on with you? I heard you guys are doing this or that. So we're just exchanging information, and as we learn, I said, yeah, sure, this is what I'm doing. I can teach you what I just learned from the franchise guy who was explaining me how some of these numbers work and how to plan for it. So exchanging those ideas and trying to collaborate with others who are coming up as well, I enjoy that. It's great. And that's how you build some of these things, right? Learn over time and build it up gradually.
Yeah. Yeah. Your issues will come about, not just now. You'll have 2-year issues and 5-year issues and my third location issues. I don't know, who knows where you're going to go. But basically that's the exciting thing about franchising. And so the word mentorship comes up a lot. And in my life, I've always tried to emulate success. I learned that early in life, that if I wanted to be good at things, I had to find people that were already good at it, and franchising is naturally like that. You have that built in, you have all that mentorship built in sort of, but there's still those people in our lives that, we look at and say, well, maybe it's a book you read, or it's a teacher, or it's something that just really influenced you. Tell me, is there someone like that in your life? Either one of you or both of you that kind of inspired you? You think maybe a reason why you're taking this leap into ownership and doing this?
My inspiration is actually, Jay. He always pushes me. And my weakness is I'm not a business owner. This is something completely new to me. So it's a completely different career too, if you think about it, So for me, this is a lot to learn. But I think everyone goes through that. If you keep the open mind and have a mentor and, guidance from my husband and then our friends, I feel like that it's not, undoable and will be easy to, easy access of learning.
Helping each other, and then kind of peaks and valleys, right, that we go through. And my side, when I was in the 5th grade, that's when I realized that I need to make some side money. So I bought, this is in India, so I bought these piece of I guess it's a pouch that comes with a little what do you call it? Just refreshment for mouth that people chew in India. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no shop. So I used to travel about 6 kilometers in a public transportation. So we used to go bunch of kids go, the younger ones like me and the oldest one like a 12th grade. So 5th grade to 12th grade, right? In a public transportation. In the morning, the shop wasn't open, but people wanted it. So then what I did is I bought a pack of it from the same shop, and it would just sell it in the morning while we're going to the bus. So it's like, hey, I see some opportunity here, so let's take advantage of it. So I
love it.
I did that in 5th grade. So since it's there from there onward, and it was just motivation. I see over time different family friends or others doing things. It's like, oh, this is cool. Oh, how does this work? How does this work? So always looking into it. But initially, my focus was always in life is to get the education, have the proper career as a baseline, must have, and then build up from there onward, right? That's the key here. So I'm getting to that stage.
Yeah, it's a process. But I love that. I love that story. It reminds me of the saying something about, like, it's not hard to serve a hungry audience hamburgers and fries or whatever. I mean, sometimes it's just the obvious. The guys just needed a convenient way to get what they wanted every morning, right? And you saw that and said, well, I'll just do this and then do that. And you solve a really good problem, though. And that's the key. And that's what business can be about a lot of times, just finding that big audience that has a need and knowing what it is and filling it. So, and you're going to do that for parents in Michigan. It's been a pleasure having both of you on the show today. I know that you're planning to launch. Is there a little bit we can share with the audience about when that might happen? And I know they can go back to the website and check the maps and the locations and things. That'll be obviously active on the website, what is the website again? Lightbridge Academy. Is it .com?
Yeah, lightbridgeacademy.com. They can go there and check it out. We have the curriculums there. There's also all the locations and other information on some of these services that Lightbridge provides.
Yeah.
As well, our location there, I don't expect that to show up until probably Q2 of next year, if anything early. Timing is a little bit vary, but that's when we would have some more idea and exact location and address that we can populate there.
Okay. Well, Jayesh and Vaishali Patel, good luck. And, we're looking forward to 2024 then. And it'll be a great start for you guys, and we'll see where it goes. I hope to be able to check back with you again sometime. Maybe in a couple of years on the other side of that first year and operating, and but it'll be fun to do that. So it's been a pleasure. Again, thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. And we're looking forward to it after 2 years, Rob.
You got it. We'll talk soon.